Yo, AFC East Roundtable, welcome to the first pre-recorded video here on the AFC East Roundtable. Today, we're going to bring you guys the draft grades. The 2023 draft class is officially here. We're going to break down the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Bills full draft, get into the grades. This is the first episode of a brand new series here we're launching on the AFC East Roundtable. We're going to see a lot of content come out throughout the week. We're really excited to break this all down. Folks, if you want to see more content like this, do us a favor right away. Hit that thumbs up button right now. And also, comment down below your draft grades for your favorite team, whether you're a Jets fan, Bills fan, Patriots fan, or Bills fan, Dolphins fan, whatever you are. Comment down below your draft grades, and let's hear all the thoughts down below in the comment section. Boys, let's get right into it. I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts about how your respective teams did in the NFL draft. So, Dan, let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. How do you think the Bills did before we get into the grades in the draft?
Listen, I would say that they completely exceeded my expectations. Some of the later round picks, I thought that there was more important holes that should have been fulfilled, but those first two rounders really set the entire course for how I felt about what Brandon Beane did just a couple of days ago. Very pleased. As mentioned previously, those first two were absolutely fire. With Dalton Kincaid, this is a guy that is literally going to be wide receiver number 2. He's that tight end wide receiver hybrid. Great hands, great route runner. And this is somebody that's not only going to be able to take off double teams from Stephon Diggs, but also be another threat that is going to completely open up this offensive playbook. O'Cyrus Torrence was great because literally everybody and their mother had him going to us in the first round at number 27. The fact that he fell that far and we were still able to grab him when we did is going to work wonders for this offensive line, specifically the run game. Hopefully Damian Harris and then the rest of the running back crew is just absolutely just going to completely ball out. Next up, it sort of was hit and miss on my end. I'm happy with Dorian Williams. He's a great tackler. He is a bit undersized, but the fact that we just ended up grabbing Poona Ford, like right on the defensive line, great run stopper, nose tackle. He's essentially a 1-tech, 3-tech. Who cares? Big body. We don't need that size in the backfield or that linebacker room now. So Dorian Williams makes a lot of sense. Shorter is interesting. I think that he's more so like of another Gabe Davis, has the size. He's a potential deep threat. I gave that a B. And then those last two more than likely are going to be a bit more of a training camp casualty, maybe practice squad guys in Nick Broker and Alex Austin. I was looking for a tackle, was really looking for a tackle in this draft at the very, very least. However, Brandon Beane did not deliver on that. I would say that the overall grade for the Bills was an A-, and that had to exclusively do with our first two picks. Tremendous value there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the Buffalo Bills fan base, at least, is pumped up about their draft class. TD, he's gone. All right, Patriots Global, what's your thoughts about the Buffalo Bills draft class?
Yeah, man. I mean, Dalton Kincaid was a pick I did not see coming, but that is an excellent fit. I thought with Dawson Knox straight off the bat, this is nothing I saw coming. I didn't see in mock drafts this happening. Dan, I don't know. I mean, you're the expert. I don't know if you saw in mock drafts, and I'm just, stupid, but I never saw this. So let me tell you, when I was live with my Pats fans, we were all going berserk. We did not see this coming, but it's an excellent fit. Another weapon there for Josh Allen, which I think ultimately he needs outside of Stephon Diggs. And, with all that Stephon Diggs drama going on, who knows what's going to happen down the line, but at least you got yourself a weapon. O'Cyrus Torrence was a guy that I thought you guys were going to go in the first. That is bizarre value that he fell that deep. Dan, I remember you saying kind of in our mock drafts that you thought that he was going to go to you in the first. So excellent value for you overall. As it went down, didn't love it as much, but those first two picks are absolutely baller, and they're going to make a difference for you guys.
TD, what's your thoughts of the Bills draft class?
I think they did an excellent job because they get some players that can help them immediately. Again, the star of it all, the tight end. Everybody's just wondering what Kincaid can be. And I think he has a tremendous upside. Now he still has to come out and prove it because he got to play against the Dolphins and we make everybody look bad. But no, seriously though, they did an excellent job. O'Cyrus Torrence, another weapon for Josh Allen to sit back there for 10 seconds and just hold the ball until he makes a mistake. But yeah, I think the Buffalo Bills overall got the draft right. but it's still in the later rounds. I feel like they could have done a little more in certain areas that can secure the future better. But they went with a few projects and things of that nature. Again, the wide receiver, Justice Shorter, a guy like that, can you develop him to a point where he could take over? Because Diggs isn't forever. You're gonna have to really revamp that room at some point. The cornerback position, Alex Austin, that late round pick. You see, when you get that far down, it's not likely to, for those guys to become something, but you never know. I just feel like in the later rounds, you definitely want to go in some positions where you're definitely going to need the future. And this team, in my opinion, linebackers, some of the greater players, Milanos and things like that, is where they should have went to try to start seeing if they can find those replacements. But overall, I give them around a B-.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the Buffalo Bills did exactly what they need, and this was a really important draft class for the Bills. I mean, they needed to hit on their draft picks because what really sustains an organization to be a sustainable organization that's winning year in and year out, especially when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen with a contract that he has, you got to get talent for cheap. And the way you get talent for cheap is you draft well. And I think Dalton Kincaid is going to freaking be annoying to go up against. I can just already see it. But Osiris Torrance is one of my favorite players that they got because I saw some people mocking them to the Bills in the first round, and they were able to get him later on in the draft. So that's a big-time home run for the Buffalo Bills. And they went with position of needs and to kind of supplement their roster of getting a project wide receiver, getting another guard, and going with Alex Austin in the corner with their last pick. So I think that this is a good overall quality draft for the Buffalo Bills. And we'll see if it all pans out, if they're going to step up as rookies or it's going to be more of a developmental for them. But one player that's going to step in immediately and play well is definitely a Dalton Kincaid. All right, so that's the Buffalo Bills, Dan. Hopefully you got your praise from us and you feel good about it.
Oh, man, I'm loving it.
All right, well, good to see that. So next, let's get into the damn Miami Dolphins. Oh,
let's go!
All right, TD, what did you see from your Miami Dolphins with their 4 draft picks? What do you like? What don't you like? What led you to get these grades?
We did such a great job, man. I think that we terrified the rest of the AFC East with our draft picks. One pick that's not up here that people don't recognize is the fact that Miami Dolphins actually had 2 first-round picks, and we lost one due to tampering with Tom Brady. But the other one, we actually flipped for Bradley Chubb. So that is technically a part of the 2023 draft class because we used that pick to bring Bradley Chubb in. So Dolphin fans have to keep that in context with the overall picture of the draft. A lot of people forget that. They think we just lost our original first-round pick, but we actually had 2. It's just that in the middle of last year, we traded it for a all-pro, a true Pro Bowler, and Bradley Chubb off the edge, coming after Josh Allen, coming after Zach Wilson when Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and coming after Mac Jones or whoever they get to replace him. But anywho, second round pick, Cam Smith. I think the Dolphins, our approach was going for the future. And Cam Smith, we have Jalen Ramsey, we have Xavier Howard already, the best 2 corners in the AFC East, in my opinion. We'll debate that at a later date. But bringing in another guy who could fill those shoes in the event that someone gets hurt, in the event that for the future, when those guys are no longer under contract with the Dolphins, this kid is fast. He's gritty. He loves to get involved in the run game. One thing that he's going to need to work on in the NFL, he's always in the right place at the right time. The issue is making sure that he can secure the tackle. So the Dolphins got in my opinion, a steal here. A lot of people had him as a first-round pick potentially. Even Steve Smith had his take on this kid, saying that he may go in the first round, and we were able to get him at the end of the second round. Then you got Devon A-Chain. Man, let that A-Chain roll. The Miami Dolphins haven't committed to any running back on this roster. We're talking about one of the fastest players in the NFL now, running a 4.32 as a running back. He had a terrible O-line in Texas A&M. He had a terrible O-line in Texas A&M, and what he still was able to do is come out and get 100 yards per game rushing, and he catches the ball so well out of the backfield with the route tree, running the routes and all. So this is going to be a dynamic weapon for Tua Tagovailoa to help him. And this is a kid, I'm not saying that he will, but he has the opportunity to come in and own that running back room for the time being until we get Dalvin Cook in a few weeks. So this is going to be a huge, huge addition for the Miami Dolphins in our future. Then you got my favorite pick of the draft, Elijah Higgins, wide receiver, tight end. Gave it a B+ just because of the team needs. I felt that we could have went guard here. But Elijah Higgins, my favorite pick. Why? Because he's a 240-pound, what a lot of people think is a wide receiver. But this kid is going to be utilized as a tight end in Miami. 240 pounds. Travis Kelce is about 250 pounds. Travis Kelce also runs a 4.6. This kid runs a 4.5. So he's moving with his weight. And that's one of the beautiful things. We need a threat like that. He can catch the ball. Not only that, the biggest need that we have at the tight end position, the only reason why Mike Gesicki wasn't favored in Miami is because this kid is willing to block. This kid is willing to get nasty and dirty in the trenches. And that's what the Miami Dolphins needed. And he can come in and lead that tight end room right away as well. And last but not least, we got Ryan Hayes, offensive tackle. Listen, I gave it a C grade because offensive tackles is hard to find great ones outside of the first, second, and third round. And if he works out, it'll be one of those rare situations. One of the things that gives me a little bit of promise with Ryan Hayes is the fact that he's coming from Michigan. And we all know who the Michigan coach is, and he's getting kids prepared for the NFL. He also has a track record of taking 7th round and undrafted players and turning them into either NFL serviceable starters or at least guys who can be on a practice squad to get the team prepared for Sunday. So, and that's what the value of that pick. So I believe the Dolphins overall did a great job, and we ended up with the B+. And we hit now and for the future. So some good balance within our draft. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, he had to throw that in at the end, didn't
That's
you?
right, baby.
Super Bowl. Patriots Global, what's your overall take on the Miami Dolphins draft, even though they only had 4 draft picks? Oh, can't forget Bradley Chubb. Sorry.
Can't forget Bradley Chubb. Yeah,
right,
I mean,
baby.
look, gotta love the fact that they got that first round pick taken away because of gotta love it first off. So I should give it an A+ just for that. But no, but in all seriousness, do I love the draft? No. But with the few picks that they have, I think that they made some got some difference makers. Kane, obviously, the running back, like you said, TD, one of the fastest running backs in this draft. I think it's going to be a difference maker. Of course, they went speed. They add more speed. And at the end of the day, speed kills at any position. Miami Dolphins already the fastest team in the National Football League.
Let's go.
They just continue to add at wide receiver, at running back now, obviously signing a few of those guys back. I'm in free agency now, just continuing to add there. They're going to have a really good rotation of speed, not just at wide receiver, but now at running back. They get younger. Cam Smith, he's a guy that in the first round makes a whole lot of sense for them. They do need corner. Obviously, Byron Jones is a guy that is kind of just done playing football. They went their separate ways. They need help. Xavier Howard's getting older. He has some questions with kind of how true is he of a true kind of cornerback one. He's more of a ball hawk rather than he is a shutdown guy. I think they need someone who can kind of shut down corners. I think Cam Smith actually brings that ability. Is he going to be a cornerback one? I'm not sure. But Cam Smith to me was definitely one of my top 6 cornerbacks in this draft. So I like that for them. Outside of those 2 picks though, nothing I love. I would have given this probably like a B overall for the Dolphins, but you got difference makers and arguably the 2 biggest positions that you needed, and you can't go wrong with that. So pretty decent job, I think, for the Dolphins.
Nice. Dan, what's your
Bowl.
thoughts about the Miami Dolphins draft class?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, really, when it comes to the overall grade, I would probably have to agree with TD. And the reason that I'm agreeing on a B+ is really just being able to find value in those really early picks that they had with the limited amount of arsenal as well. Cam Smith, most specifically, very excited to see what he can do. The Dolphins absolutely love speed, man. And I think that this was not only a great day 1 contributor, because I am definitely under the impression that they are going to start that man right as slot corner, just so they can really solidify that secondary. But then at the same time, I mean, how many more years of elite play does Ramsey and X have? I think it was a great investment right in the future, and then also making sure that he could really hop in there and be a day 1 contributor. Same thing with that running back, man. I mean, I think that when it comes down to it, I think one of the most sought after things I think every offense needs, especially with offensive line issues, You need a running back that has the ability to catch right behind the line and be a threat in the passing game. And I think the Dolphins ended up doing that as well. Those later picks, great depth pieces, especially with Gesicki being gone. I feel like that they need another big body that could step into that role as tight end. And then offensive line, man. I mean, I think the only way that I would make this an A+ is as if they legitimately each and every single pick was an offensive lineman. That is the only way. That is one glaring need, I think, that they did not prioritize, not only in free agency, but in the draft as well. But B+, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Well, my take on the Dolphins draft class, TD, is when you only have 4 picks, you got to be able to take advantage and hit on all of them because you guys did not have a lot of capital. You sacrificed one for a great player in Bradley Chubb. You forfeited one for just talking to someone who wasn't even a quarterback. But we're not going to talk about that. But I think Cam Smith, I know that Dolphins fans at first were like, what the heck? We just got Jalen Ramsey. Why are we taking corner? And this was more of a long-term pick with Cam Smith. You know, that Jalen Ramsey's not going to be here forever. He's not your long-term answer. Xavier Howard's getting up there in age. They needed to look in the future, and you got to get a shutdown corner, especially with a division of guys like Garrett Wilson, and guys like Stephon Diggs and Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know if it's the Patriots who you're scared of, but yeah, Juju, we'll say. But in all seriousness, man, I think Cam Smith was a quality pick. Their running back that they got, they needed a running back. They absolutely needed to get a running back. I know that a lot of Dolphins fans still want Dalvin Cook, so they're hungry. They want someone on the ground. The run game matters. Even they have like a pipeline of guys going out there, but it's still no matter who goes out there, it seems like the system will always work in their favor. But I do think that they would have been smarter to go offensive lineman a little earlier. I know Elijah Higgins is a quality, versatile player that can play at wide receiver and tight end, but I really feel like just getting Ryan Haynes at tackle that late in the draft, I feel like if you're the Dolphins, you probably could have went offensive line a little earlier. But other than that, man, I think with your 4 players in a win now season that the Miami Dolphins are in, it was interesting to see them go more of the future than win now. And I think the Jets kind of had a similar approach where we're in a win now season, but we did not really have that type of win now draft. We're still looking for the future, and that transitions into the New York Jets draft grades. So, TD, that's the Dolphins. Excited to see what the comments section has to say about them, too.
Super Bowl indeed. All right, so let's break down the New York Jets draft class. So this Jets draft class was really interesting. We're coming off an historic draft last year. So Jets fans, our expectations are super high. We had 2 Rookie of the Years last year in Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, but we just did not have the capital this season, and that's the reality of the situation. So here are my draft grades. I already made a whole video on this, but let's break this down. Right out of the gate, Will McDonald. This pick has been growing on me the more and more I'm learning about this kid. And I think the biggest reason why I was surprised, Jets fans around the world were surprised about this pick, is because we all do mock drafts months and months and months leading up to these drafts. And I don't think one person had Will McDonald going to the New York Jets. And that's okay. The Jets wanted an offensive tackle in the first round. And we actually saw a report from a very reliable source that the Jets would have drafted Will McDonald over Broderick Jones if the Steelers did not trade up for him. That's how high the Jets were on Will McDonald. Because what Will McDonald brings to the table, folks, he's the closer. He's Edwin Diaz for any baseball fans out there. He's Mariano Rivera, bringing up some New York legend closers. He is the guy that you bring in pass rushing opportunities when you have a lead in the fourth quarter. He's a speedy, long, athletic edge rusher that they're going to get in that wide 9 action. He really adds to this defensive line another element that this Jets defense needs, and that's getting to the damn quarterback. We got Jermaine Johnson last year, who was more of that power rusher, and now we're getting a speed rusher who was a 7-foot wingspan, who plays every single sport in his life growing up. Jiu-jitsu, baseball, basketball. I mean, he could do backflips. He could jump over cars. This guy, Will McDonald, is a freakishly athletic monster. He actually, listen to this, Buffalo Bills fans, he broke a Big 12 record for the most sacks of all time with 34, beating Von Miller with his 33 career sacks. So Will McDonald was very, very productive in his time at Iowa State. And I think the Jets going in the trenches, because if you're in a conference like the Jets are in, and a division that the Jets are in with all these great quarterbacks, how do you shut down a great quarterback in Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Burrow? How do you do that? Getting to them. Pass rush. That's the idea. That's the identity of the Jets. So the Jets go trenches. I gave Will McDonald's grade a B+ because I think that he is, as a speed rusher, adds more of a versatility and a speed element to this Jets defense, and I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, Joe Tippmann
We got our franchise center, Jets fans. We've been waiting for the Jets to go out there and get our Nick Mangold replacement since he hung up the cleats, and we finally get him. Joe Tippmann from Wisconsin. He is a 6'6", 317-pound center. They don't make centers that big, bro. He's versatile. He can line up on the inside at guard spot. He's going to be, hopefully, our center for the next decade. That's the best case scenario. He's a rock. He is really good at communicating. He can get into that second level. He is really good against the run, opening up running lanes for Breece Hall. And I think that getting Joe Tippmann, that was my number one option in the second round. Get your center. Whether it's Joe Tippmann or John Michael Schmitz, they went with Joe Tippmann. Absolutely love his game. His mullet game is fantastic as well. And the fourth round, the Jets go Carter Warren, offensive tackle from Pitt. Now, this player in Carter Warren, folks, people had him as projected second-round pick heading into this season in college, but unfortunately for him, he got injured in game number 5, tore his meniscus, so he dropped down the boards, and he is one of the most NFL-ready style of NFL offensive tackles where the pass protection is there. I mean, he would have went a lot higher in the draft if he did not tear his meniscus, but he falls to the Jets in the 4th round for a developmental piece at tackle. His pass protection is elite. He plays left tackle and right tackle, and that's what this Jets team needs is depth at that position, and I absolutely love that pick in Carter Warren. They take advantage of a player who slid down a lot of boards because of injury history. Now, this next player, who is probably my favorite, you want to talk about speed? With the Dolphins running back, we got speed. How about 4.29, 4.40 for Izzy Abedekenda, running back from Pitt? We got Breece Hall coming off an ACL injury, and the Jets had to take advantage of the draft to get a young, fresh legs out there just in case Breece Hall's not at 100%. Izzy Abedekenda, also from Pitt, as well as Carter Warren, is going to be a difference maker for this offense. He was like the 5th best running back in my eyes in this draft class, and we got him in the 5th round, and I think that Izzy's going to have immediate impact. He's another home run hitter, one cut. You go down the field. He can take it the distance anytime the ball's in his hands. He's electric. He had 20-plus touchdowns, 1,400 yards last year for Pitt. He had a game against Virginia Tech where he had 370 yards and 6 touchdowns. This man is productive. This man is young at 20 years old, and he's going to add more speed to this Jets offense with McCall Hardman, who we added as well, who ran a 4.3 flat. Izzy Abedekenda ran a sub 4.3. We got Garrett Wilson with the speed. We got Breece Hall with the speed. So don't sleep on the Jets offense speed because it's there. Now, this next draft pick is definitely my least favorite of the entire class. Zaire Barnes, don't like this pick at all. Some people had him going undrafted. I don't really like this pick. If he gives special teams, okay, maybe he's a special teams guy, whatever. Don't really like this pick. Not going to talk him too much about it. Jarek Bernard-Converse is a guy from LSU who's a versatile defensive back, can go corner, can be slot, can go at safety. Like that pick for value to really add versatility and depth there. And then Zach Kuntz! Zach Kuntz! How about that to finish out the draft? The most athletic tight end we've ever seen come out of the NFL Draft Combine. Graded a 10 RAS score. This man's 6'7" and can do a lot of crazy things athletically, and I love this pick with that last pick. The value was there. Absolute home run in terms of this draft pick for Zach Kuntz with the value there. I thought he was going to go a lot higher, and he fell again because of injuries. So my overall grade is a B+ for this Jets draft class. I think they really supplemented for the future. They added to their strengths with the edge rushers. They got a running back that they needed. They went with the trenches, which you absolutely love to see. And in the back end of the draft, they got guys that they're developing for the future. So that's my thoughts about the Jets draft class. So Colby, what's your overall thoughts about the Jets in this draft class? Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, man, I was really surprised y'all went Will McDonald there in the first. But I mean, like you said, and you said it several times, playing in the trenches, y'all are just adding to an area that's already a strength. And to stop Josh Allen, to stop Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, you get up in their face and you don't give them time to throw. That's exactly how you stop these guys. As a Patriots fans, we saw that last year. Our offense was terrible, but because of the dominant defensive line that we had, our secondary played better. Everybody played better, and we had the highest scoring defense in the entire National Football League. So it goes a long way. Not exactly the way that I would have went if I was the general manager, but at the end of the day, if he fits your scheme and he makes sense for you guys specifically, then hey, who am I to argue with that? Obviously, too, there were a lot of edge guys and defensive linemen. These guys were flying off the boards the entire draft, but especially in the first two. I think if you guys were trying to go more pass rush, then he makes a lot more sense versus somebody who was still on the board, like a Nolan Smith, who, is going to apply some pressure, but is more of an all-around defensive end. But he's not going to collapse the pocket. So I think at that point, Will McDonald did make the most sense for you guys. So at the end of the day, I do like that pick for you guys. Joe Tippmann and Warren, you guys going offensive line, like that is the move for you guys. That is what you guys needed to do. I thought you guys were going to do it in the first. You guys need to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. He has some ability to escape pressure, go out wide, but at the end of the day, he's old. You don't want this man running for his life, scrambling, trying to extend plays. That's not what you want. If you guys want to be successful, last year I genuinely thought you were a quarterback away. You have the quarterback now. Make it count. Make it count. The way by doing that is by adding to your offensive line. So I thought you guys added some really good picks there with the offensive line. I didn't know your running back actually ran that fast. That actually shocked me when you told me that. I did some due diligence on running backs, but it was more so kind of later on in the draft process, just because of where the Patriots were picking and kind of where they usually like their running backs. So I think that's excellent value for you guys to add some speed there to your offense. Obviously adding a linebacker, special teamer. Didn't love that pick for you also. I think, me and you were kind of have a lot of the same thoughts here on this draft in general. My biggest kind of takeaway from looking at your draft, though, at the end of the draft was Zach Kuntz, man. I mean, I was a big Zach Kuntz fan. I always loved Zach Kuntz. He was a guy that I thought maybe a fourth or fifth rounder for the Patriots or just in general. He drops to the 7th round for you guys, and he dropped low into the 7th round. He has massive upside. He is arguably one of the best receiving tight ends in the entire class. He's not someone that's going to give you a lot of blocking ability. He's not going to come in and blocking packages. It's not his game. He's like a Mike Gesicki in that category. But him dropping as far as he did tells me that I believe it was a knee injury that he dealt with. It tells me that knee injury is a lot more serious than it gives credit for. And that's why he fell, because I feel like if that knee injury wasn't as serious as it was, he would have went a lot sooner. So if he can get around that injury, you guys got an absolute steal. But if that injury is going to linger as much as I think it essentially dropped him, then this pick isn't going to turn out to be much. But in the 7th round, you're taking flyers, you're taking opportunities, and you're basically trying to get guys before they hit the UDFA market. And you guys made an excellent pick there.
Yeah, Zach Kuntz is one of my favorite picks, and it's funny because it's the last one of the draft. TD, what's your thoughts about the Jets draft class? Anything stand out to you? You're muted, TD. Come on, baby. You're better than that.
My bad. Yeah, what stands out is the fact that if the Jets screw this offseason up, you'll never hear the end of it from me. I mean, y'all are ready to compete now. This is ridiculous. The Jets literally secured their trenches. They added a very good defensive edge rusher with their first pick. So their D-line is pretty much set. Then they add starter capability and depth to their O-line with Tippmann and Warren. So if guys go out, now you have capable guys to step in, because that was a big issue for the Jets in the past, the O-line's health. So now you have insurance and guys who can come in and play right away. And then you bring the running back, one of the fastest guys in the NFL, behind Breece Hall with Izzy, and I believe he'll be behind Breece Hall unless you feel there's somebody else that's going to be number 2. But that's just, man, the offense is solidified. Then yet again, now the Zaire Barnes, I understand, but at the same token, you can still be a little better at linebacker. So there's a little project piece right here. So if they can make him something, you got to look at it like this is Salah. So you should have a lot more confidence in what he can do with guys like that. Jared Bernard, the DB, I know you love him. It wasn't high on mine, but time will tell. I'll just put it like that on that one. But the Zach Kuntz was the steal of the draft, which is ridiculous. Your O-line, I mean, your offense is done. Your offense is done. You got the quarterback, you got the receivers, you got the running game, you got the O-line, you got the tight end now. The offense is complete. Then you had a top 5 defense in the NFL last year. If the Jets screw this up, you'll never hear the end of it for me, and I hope you do. Great draft.
Yeah, I saw you on Twitter saying that the Jets got the steal of the draft with the Zach Kuntz player. Yeah. So did you want the Dolphins to take him or something? Is that why you said that?
He was the first priority, but then we went another direction, obviously, with Higgins. So for some reason, at the end of the day, time will tell.
Time will tell. Dan, any final words with this Jets draft class before we pivot to the Patriots?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, really going into the draft, they threw me a complete curveball. I was expecting them to go out there and get some sort of pass catcher, especially with Aaron Rodgers. But with that news of Randall Cobb coming into the Jets this morning, sounds like they already had a plan for that. But I mean, really, when I look at this draft, I think Saleh and Joe Douglas specifically just wanted to go on ahead and invest in what they are already known for. And that was the trenches. I mean, honestly, when it comes down into the first 3 picks, you have them investing already in a very, very talented defensive line by adding Will McDonald. The center, it's definitely not a bad thing to invest in the future on that, especially since there's no telling how long Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. Is it this year? Is it 2 years, 3 years? Who knows? That is something you want to do so you can make sure that you influence that man's decision to stay in the National Football League with the New York Jets as long as humanly possible. And that Joe Tippmann was great. Same thing with Carter Warren. Love that pick as well. Once again, reinvesting into the offensive line. And then everything else, fantastic depth pieces that can make a contribution, if not this year, later down the road. Love the Zach Kuntz. I'm actually pretty sure that is not the correct way of pronouncing it, but
it's Kuntz.
To not get this video demonetized, we are going to continue to call him Zach Kuntz.
TD said it the wrong way. You're saying it the right way.
Really? In fact, I feel like I'm actually going to go on ahead and see if I can get a actual.
What did I call him, Richie?
TD said it the way Dan's thinking. He said.
We're trying to stay monetized, bro. Don't say it.
Oh my God!
Zach Kuntz.
There you go. Now TD's got it.
Yep.
Well, that's it for the Jets draft class, and I'm happy we got to finish it off with a funny ass name for the Jets draft class. So that's the grades, B+ for me. Now let's finish this off. My man Colby, let me know your thoughts. I mean, the Patriots freaking got a lot of picks. They are stockpiling picks. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention, we freaking did a trade with you, Colby. You traded up with us to get a kicker, and you gave us some capital, so thank you for that. So what's your overall takes, man, of these Patriots?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm also realizing I'm the only edit here without my face, so I'm feeling a little left out. Might have to change that and get my face edited on here for a little profile picture. But yeah, no,
face, man.
Strap in, fellas, because 12 picks. If you would have told me the Patriots were going to have 12 picks, I would have been like, dude, probably not. Patriots usually go 8 to 10. They don't go this much. So this is historically high for them. But they had a lot of draft picks. They had a lot of ability to maneuver, and that's exactly what they did starting off here in the first round. I'll try not to go too crazy. If you guys want more in-depth analysis of these, I did breakdowns on my channel of all these guys, but there's a lot of guys to get into, so I don't want to break this down too much in depth for every single pick. But Christian Gonzalez, man, a freaking plus. The fact that you traded back, got a 4th round pick, and still got the best cornerback in this draft class is absolutely absurd. This guy fits the New England Patriots scheme like a glove. A guy who's going to be able to play outside, but has scheme versatility to play zone, man, but is mainly a man press cornerback who has the ability to play some slot if they want him to. Brings the size at literally just a few inches under 6'2". So the Patriots get the size too. They get the speed. He ran a 4.3. So everything you want in a cornerback, the Patriots got with Christian Gonzalez, somehow dropping to them and still trading back and getting him at 17. How the NFL let this happen, I don't know. He actually models his game after Stephon Gilmore, like I said before. And this is a guy that I said, hey, if the Patriots, in our pre kind of draft video, if the Patriots can get Christian Gonzalez at that pick, then I think they absolutely select him. And that is exactly what they did here. So, I mean, if I could give this more than an A+, trust me, I would be. But the Patriots absolutely nailed this pick. Now, going Keion White here in the 2nd round, a little bit of a shocking move. Now, we did hear that the Patriots were interested in trading back into the 1st round for Keion White, supposedly, and they would have actually been okay drafting him at 14. They thought about trading up in the 2nd to get Keion White. Thank God they didn't. I wouldn't have agreed with it. This grade would have been lower if they did. Keion White is very raw. He's a tight end that transition to a defensive lineman. And I just think he's raw. He's older at 24 years old, and he's more new to the position. He has a lot of versatility in terms of where he can play along the defensive line, whether it's at edge, whether it's on interior. And it's just the fact of, well, look, are the Patriots going to be able to develop him? They have Ronnie Perkins, who they drafted a couple of years ago in the 3rd, who they were not able to develop at all. They either are hit or misses when it comes to defensive linemen, especially edge rushers. So I thought there were better players they could have gone than Keion White. But this is a guy who is crazy athletic, has some speed to him also, is going to contribute in terms of pass rush and also in stopping the run. So I don't love it. Again, thought that there was better value for the Patriots, but if they think that this is a guy that can kind of play for them and essentially replace somebody like a Josh Uche, then okay. But the guy that I think is very similar to him at this point is a Dietrich Wise, who they signed to a 4-year contract only 2 years ago. So I don't know, not my favorite pick for them, but definitely has some potential. Now, Marte Mapu, linebacker slash safety. I gave this one a B. This was, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah's actually favorite prospect in this entire draft. This guy has so much upside. The question mark is going to be, where do the Patriots play him? He's a guy who mainly played slot when playing in the secondary. He didn't play a whole lot of box. He didn't play deep. This isn't somebody that's going to replace Devin McCourty for the Patriots by any means. If they do play him at linebacker, he's somebody that's going to have to put on weight. He is way too small in terms of a linebacker for the Patriots. But if he does play linebacker, he brings an athletic kind of profile for the Patriots, which they've been looking for at linebacker with several guys they've kind of picked up, whether it's Mac Wilson, who didn't work out for them, or not. So definitely has some ability, whether they're trying him at safety or linebacker. Maybe they put him in a rover role defensively. They definitely need help at safety, so it definitely makes a lot of sense. And this guy is a short tackler. This guy is very good at stopping the run. He tracks the ball down very well, and if once he gets his arms on you, he tackles you. Like, you are not going to shake this guy off in terms of shaking off his tackles. Now, as for Jake Andrews, man, I gave this one a C-. This wasn't good. He's a center, and with our first 4th round pick, we decided to go an interior defensive lineman, a little bit of guard experience, but this is going to be your center. This is essentially, ironically, your David Andrews replacement. And maybe the Patriots know something we don't, but at the end of the day, I see at least 2 more years for David Andrews. He has some issues staying healthy, but at the end of the day, you have James Ferentz and some other guys who could be plugged in there. In the 4th round, there were still some day one impactful players the Patriots could have gone with, and they go with a guy that honestly is more of a 5th to 6th round pick. He's a developmental guy. I don't love where the Patriots got him. He's not my favorite guy in this class also. He's not a good pass protector, a good run blocker. But maybe they say David Andrews only has a couple years left. We want to sit this guy behind him for a couple years and develop him. But again, you could have gotten him later if you wanted to do that. So don't love this pick by the Patriots. Now, like you said, Richie, the Patriots did trade up in the 4th round with the Jets, an in-division trade. We don't see that often. They selected kicker Chad Ryland. I gave this one a B. I like him. The reason that I didn't put this grade higher is because, one, you traded up for a guy you probably didn't need to. I heard that he was kicker 3 to most people. After Jake Moody went, though, high to the 49ers, that's kind of what caused the Patriots to trade up this much. But I don't think anybody was essentially going to jump them. But a guy that worked in the Senior Bowl, has experience actually with the punter they drafted, who we'll get into a little bit here later. So it makes a lot of sense with continuity. He's kicked in rain, snow, gusting winds, and the Patriots value that high. They need a kicker behind Nick Folk. So I gave this one a B, but I didn't think there was a need to trade up for it. Moving on here, City Sal. Now, City Sal, the Patriots go guard after already going an interior offensive lineman previously, just 2 picks before. I gave this one a B. It has potential, but this guy plays left guard with some experience at left tackle. Very little experience at left tackle, but he has the size to be able to play left tackle. He's a massive interior offensive lineman, but again, left guard. The Patriots drafted Cole Strange last year in the 1st round. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. His tape at left tackle, it's not that great. And maybe the Patriots think that they can develop him better as a tackle, but I think going with an interior offensive lineman yet again just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the Patriots. Whether you have Michael Onwenu, leaving in free agency at the end of 2023, you don't need this many interior defensive or offensive linemen, especially when you need offensive tackle desperately now and next year. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And Antonio Mafi, another guard for the Patriots. They almost went back-to-back guards again after going guard last year in the 1st round. This drove Patriots fans absolutely insane. But B+ here, Antonio Mafi is my guy. My guy, man. I actually was able to predict in mock drafts Antonio Mafi and Bryce Behringer going to the Patriots. And when you're able to get a my guy actually drafted by your team, it feels good. A guy that played in the Shrine Bowl that the Patriots were able to coach. They value those guys high. They saw him, firsthand. if anybody's going to be a Michael Onwenu replacement, it's going to be a Tony Mafi. Not that I agree with Michael Onwenu leaving, but a guy that I really like for the Patriots. I think there's a true role for Antonio Mafi and an easy B+ for me. This guy is going to be a stellar guard in the National Football League. Now, going on here into round 6, Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver, baby, A+ by the Patriots. Did not expect him to fall this far down. Patriots fans were so upset that the Patriots ultimately did not go wide receiver at all. Well, Pats fans, they got a guy who, before the start of this 2022 season, he was projected to be a first-round pick. This guy balled out, but because of character issues, he ended up moving to the slot rather than playing outside. He was dealing with injuries and a horrific combine. Because of those injuries, his stock dropped tremendously. But this guy has such upside. The Patriots are getting a guy here in the 6th that, again, was supposed to be a projected first-round pick. If the Patriots can kind of switch this guy around, change his mentality, bring out the best of him, and he's motivated. He already came out and said, I didn't play how I wanted to in college. I'm motivated. Everybody thinks I'm nothing. So he's kind of has a chip on his shoulder. Those guys always pan out well for the Patriots. So such upside here for the Patriots with Kayshon Boutte. Bryce Behringer, the punter, I gave this one a B+. Like I said, he has experience here with Chad Ryland kicking in the Senior Bowl. It's very important to have a kicker and a punter on kind of the same wavelength, just because obviously your punter is going to be holding the ball for your kicker. Your kicker wants the ball held a certain way, whether it's more forward, backwards, left or right. The way it comes off the foot is very important with how the punter is going to hold the ball. Those guys already have experience with each other, which is going to make a day one impact. The Patriots don't really have a punter. They have a guy that they picked up in free agency that's a little below average, in my opinion. And now they get a guy for the future here in Bryce Behringer, who, yeah, I think Michael Turk was probably a better option. I think there are better guys on the board, but the Patriots get their guy at the end of the day. And again, it's a guy with experience with your kicker. So I like that pick for the Patriots. It's not an A or an A+ for me. Now, Demario Douglas, the Patriots go another wide receiver, A+, baby. A+ for the Patriots, another Shrine Bowl guy for the team. And this is exactly what you're seeing. The Patriots, like I said, they're going to draft multiple Shrine Bowl guys. They worked in the Shrine Bowl, and that's exactly what they do. Antonio Mafi, Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas, to me, is your 6th-round version of Zay Flowers. He's very comparable. Look at the numbers. Look at the combine numbers. Look at his measurable numbers. Very, very similar to Zay Flowers, minus the height. Demario Douglas is 5'8". He's primarily going to be a slot guy for the Patriots, but this guy is fast. A 4'3". He's quick. He's shifty. He takes off. He rips off tackles easily. He's able to work through contact. Pretty good in terms of 50-50 ball catches, also for a guy who's only 5'8". This is your Patriots slot guy. Like, the Patriots have always had that legendary slot guy with speed and quickness who runs great routes. That guy is Demario Douglas with also some special teams experience. I absolutely love this pick. And again, working with him in the Shrine Bowl, they already know what they're getting out of him. So I really like this. Now, Amir Speed here. The Patriots are going in the 6th round. Cornerback, mainly going to be a special teamer. I gave this one a B. I don't love it. A guy who ran a 4'3", sits at over 6 foot. So he has some ability in terms of secondary play if the Patriots can get the best out of him. I think he's more of a gunner on special teams, a guy who's going to make plays, covering punts, covering kicks, a guy who can get down the field extremely quick also. He's a very, very, very good tackler, but has a lot of questions in terms of coverage. And he's also more of a zone coverage corner than a man coverage corner. And we know the Patriots do like to play man. So I think this is primarily just a guy to kind of play special teams and make some tackles there for them there. But at the 6th round, you're just taking a flyer. It's hard to get an A+ grade once you reach the 6th and 7th round. But Isaiah Bolden, their final pick here, 7th round defensive back. This guy has experience playing corner, has experience playing safety, a guy who ran a 4'3" also, a guy who sits at also, I believe, 6'3". This guy also brings special teams experience. He's better in coverage also, but he isn't going to give them a guy who can make plays on the kicking unit or the punting unit. He actually has experience returning punts and returning kicks. More specifically, had 3 kick return touchdowns. The Patriots still need a kick returner. Marcus Jones returns punts. This is an excellent, excellent pick for the Patriots in the 7th round who can make a real difference, maybe on special teams down the road, but definitely day one on special teams.
Wow, look at that. The Patriots go crazy in the NFL draft, man. TD, what's your quick take on the Patriots? Because we heard everything we need to know about that draft class, Patriots Global. Great job.
Thank you.
Terrible draft, just the worst. No, well, I wanted to pick on them because they got a kicker and a punter in the draft. But
They traded up with the Jets to get that kicker, by the way.
hey, you know what? He better be the best thing ever. I know that much. But listen, in all honesty, man, I'm just gonna point to one position in particular for the Jets, and that's the cornerback position. Again, Patriots Global called
Patriots.
it. Well, what did I say?
You said for the Jets.
I don't know why y'all in my brain. It's just trash.
We're living in his brain, baby. Love it.
But no, the one pick, the cornerback, Pat's Global already called it out, man. I get terrified with Bill Belichick whenever he picks cornerbacks because they all tend to end up becoming stars in the league. But Belichick's building his defense. He's building his defense. He has his players of the future. In the first 3 picks, that's what Belichick is banking on. Christian Gonzalez, Keon White, Marte Mapu, and I probably said when I'm wrong, but it's just a Belichick thing to me. It just looks like he's looking to not allow you to score and be in every game as Mac Jones continues to develop, and hoping that at some point that formula can continue to be the recipe. Because don't forget, Tom Brady was young at one point. That's not at like, the 10-year in Tom Brady was the rookie Tom Brady. I'm not saying Mac Jones will be that, but Bill is making sure his defense stays at a top tier level. Now, again, I'm still thrown by this kicker situation so early in the draft. I guess relatively early. But Jake Andrews, the center, that's going to be an interesting one. I actually don't know the current situation at the center position. Pat's Global, is that a guy who has a potential to start?
Not right now. David Andrews is still your starting center.
Andrews.
Maybe he's done in a year. But I still give him 2 years max. Jake Andrews isn't going to start day one.
But this is what Belichick does. He always brings in the guy who's going to take over a year or two early, and he's good enough to take over, and he allows the veteran or the guy who's up for the big deal to walk off, man. But overall, I don't know how you got an A-. I gave a pass about a B-.
Get out of here.
I mean, your math ain't mathing when you look at all the A's, B's, and C's you put up, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey man, one C.
Hey, but a lot of B's, and somehow you still got an A up there. But it's all good.
All those A pluses made it work out in the end.
But
Dan,
overall,
the Patriots calculator.
Overall, it's hard to gauge their draft. It's one of those things you got to see how it works out because their team is still like it needs a lot of work overall.
Yeah, I think this draft class just shows you the Patriots just going all in for the future, and with the trades that they did and supplementing the depth and adding positions. That the first 3 picks scares me just because of the positions, honestly. Just Bill Belichick loading up on that defensive end. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts about the Pats. I think I think this is one of those draft classes that can really set this team up for future depth purposes, future starters. Maybe they're not all contributors right away, but that's not what the Patriots need. They need depth across the roster. Dan, any last words quickly about the Patriots class?
Yeah, most definitely, man. I mean, I think this was the perfect strategy for Bill Belichick. I mean, especially when you're going up against quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, you need to stack up on that secondary and overall threats that are going to get to the quarterback. And I think that they had tremendous value in the first 3 rounds. And then afterwards, obviously, just filling in some pieces so they could begin to start and build for the future. I'd probably give it a B+.
Yeah, I think I'd give it like a B+, borderline A-. I think it's a very interesting class compared to their other draft classes because they had so much capital to work with. But guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of the AFC East Roundtable draft grades. Please feel free to comment down below your draft grades of your individual team. And if you did not already, hit that thumbs up button. And also let us know if you stayed all the way until the end. Comment down below a football emoji if you stayed all the way to the end so we know that you stayed all the way through a 50-minute video to hear our draft grades. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in as always. We'll catch you guys next time on the AFC East Roundtable. Expect more pre-recorded content like this in the future, and we'll see you next time. Peace!
Super Bowl, baby!